Hey guys, welcome to Audio with Alex. Today I'm just going to show you guys some simple steps to editing drums in Record. Um, for this I used 5 different mics on a pretty basic set. Everything that you see here is everything that was on the set pretty much. You have your snare, your floor tom, your kick, your rack tom, and your hi-hat, or your overhead. I only used one overhead this time. Usually you should use 2 different mics, one for right, one for left, just so you get that nice stereo feel and just so it's a lot more better sounding, I guess. But we're just going to stick for one right now because we're not going to get too intricate. These other 3 stereo channels are different mixes of these 5. So you have your clean drums, your compressed drums, and your distorted drums. And then on the end you have your audio track that the drummer played along with. In this case, it wasn't the most well done drumming just because we were just trying stuff out and wasn't anything too fancy. So we just threw that in there just to see what we could do. I'm just going to take you to the rack and show you what I have there. As you can see, it's just inputs from my FireWire interface. Well, not right now it isn't, but when you do record, it's usually from your interface or your board or whatever you're doing. What I have is the 5 right here, and then I have my mixing channel right here. So that's just to clean drums all together in one channel. That just allows you to compress that whole channel if you'd like, or EQ the whole channel if you'd like. Pretty much anything you want in that. When you go back to your soundboard, you can do anything you'd like with this channel right here. You can pan the whole song. You can do whatever you like, pretty much. So that's a nice thing to have. Then we have compressed drums. That I like using an M-class compressor for the compression and not the one on the board when doing entire mixes. But when you do this, what I have done right here, I'm not mixing the entire song. I'm only mixing these 5 channels, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well. And then it's the same thing with the distortion. You just have a much wider option of different effects you can work with to tweak your sound as much as you'd like. In my range, you can see that I just have the raw audio files of everything, and it's not too fancy. So I'm just going to show you guys the back of these now. What I've done is I've just done direct outs straight from each channel into a spider merger / splitter. And what this does is that it takes all the channels. So there's my snare, floor tom, and kick, and what else? My rack tom. And over here I have my overhead. They only have 4 channels, so you might need 2 or 3 depending on what you're doing for the top. Then once you do that, you take your main merged output from here and you put it into this input. And what that can do is that gives you these 3 to send the sound wherever you want it. But it's not the single sounds, it's this entire thing mixed together. So then what I did with that is I put it in this one. And that one is just consistent of the overhead. Now what I could have done here to save some space and wires, I guess, was just take the direct out from the overhead, and instead of putting it here, I could have put it right here, and that would have worked just as well. But instead I did the long way, just in case I wanted to add another overhead in or another mic in for some reason. So what you can see is just the same thing, except this one has more ins. So it goes straight from the output into this output, and then these ins can go straight to that out. And then those 2 from each spider go into this one, and then all those merge, those 2. So now I've merged these 2. And then what I can do with that is I can just put it into the input here, and then that gives me that entire channel to mix. Now, what I've done with these 2, these are more outputs of all these compressed channels. So what I've done with that is I brought it down into this mixing surface, I guess, and I just popped in a compressor there via FX, and that's what I used to compress. Now I'll play this back for you guys, and you can hear just exactly how it sounds with the compression and everything on. Alright, now I'm going to show you the compression off. You can really hear the difference there. And here's it with distortion off. And both off. Now, if you're not hearing the changes there, then you're deaf. But that's what I've done to create the way I like it. And what's nice about that is that once you go up into your mixer here, you can actually adjust the levels on each of those and mix these three as well, just so that they work in harmony with each other and sound awesome all together. Again, you can compress it, gate it, EQ each track. I haven't done any of that with this because I didn't really bother. I think it's fine the way it is. You don't really need to compress pre-compressed stuff. Plus, it all goes through a master bus if you'd like it at the end anyway. What I've done for gating compression up here is nothing too fancy. It's just simple compression up here. I like the compressor in this because it matches pretty much identical to the solid-state logic board that it's based on. And it was an amazing board, but I mean, this emulation doesn't compare. But it does do its job pretty well. So for now, we'll just stick with it. I already had pre-compressed. It was a pre-compressed rack tom and a pre-compressed snare drum. So these two are already compressed, so I haven't really changed them that much except for the snare. They went through a DBX compressor, so I think they turned out pretty fine. I like gating my drums just so they pop out more. I don't gate the overhead because you don't need to. That's what fills in everything else here in the in-between parts that don't pop out, I guess. I've also EQ'd each channel to my liking, and the result was something that I like. I think I should adjust the snare a bit more. It's kind of dead. And everything else sounds alright, I guess. I hope you guys liked it, because I know I do. I hope you guys learned something if you're using Record. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. I'm open to any criticism. I love it. Yeah, here's just one more play for you guys. Alright guys, thanks for watching Audio with Alex. See you again soon.